Queen Zara'neth sat on her war throne, 7 feet of royal authority draped in ceremonial armor, waiting to finally see the face of her enemy. 3 years of brutal conflict with humanity, and she'd never glimpsed what lay beneath their faceless helmets. Propaganda made them monsters, inhuman, merciless, easier to kill when you didn't think of them as people. The prisoner-designated Wraith stood before her in battered armor, wrists bound in energy cuffs, surrounded by 24 guards. He'd killed 12 elite warriors during capture. Even restrained and injured, he radiated controlled danger. But he was silent behind his reflective visor, standing straight when she expected cowering. "Take off your helmet," Zara'neth commanded. No response, no movement. That was not a request. Her voice carried the cold authority of someone accustomed to absolute obedience. "Remove it, or my guards will remove it from your corpse." The human's hands moved slowly to the helmet seals. She braced herself to finally see the monster beneath, something brutal, scarred, confirming everything propaganda had taught her. The helmet lifted away. Her prepared speech died unspoken. The human was young, maybe 30 standard years, with dark hair matted from confinement, strong jaw shadowed with stubble, and eyes that stopped her completely. Deep brown, exhausted but somehow still warm. Scars marked his face, violence written across his features, but instead of making him look monstrous, they framed an expression of unexpected. She struggled for the word. He wasn't glaring with hatred or cowering in fear. He looked at her with curiosity mixed with resignation, like he'd accepted whatever came next but wanted to understand it first. "You're disappointed," he said in accented but clear Kael'thari. "You wanted a monster." Zara'neth forced composure through sheer will. "I wanted to see the face of the creature who killed 12 of my finest warriors." "Soldiers," he corrected gently. "Not warriors. We were all just soldiers following orders we probably shouldn't have." The casual way he acknowledged killing her people while simultaneously humanizing them, and himself, cracked something in her certainty. This wasn't how enemies were supposed to speak. "You don't deny the killings." "No point. I did what I did. They died, I didn't. I'm sorry it happened, but I'm not going to pretend I'm sorry I survived." He met her eyes steadily, and something dangerous stirred. Not attraction exactly, not yet, but the first crack in the wall that let her see enemies as people. "What's your real name?" The question escaped before she could stop it. Long hesitation, then Ethan Cole. "Why did you join their military?" Complicated reasons that boiled down to wanting to protect people. He smiled tiredly. "Sounds absurd from someone who kills efficiently, I know." "Do you have family?" The brief pain in his eyes answered before his voice. "Had," past tense. Zara'neth dismissed the guards before she could examine why she wanted privacy. They hesitated. Protocol demanded security, but obeyed when she invoked royal authority. Alone with her enemy, she found herself asking questions that had nothing to do with intelligence gathering, and everything to do with the unsettling realization that the face behind the helmet was nothing like she'd expected. She should execute him. Protocol demanded it. Justice required it. A strong queen didn't spare dangerous enemies. Instead, she ordered him taken to secure quarters. Her advisors protested. She overruled them with authority she rarely used so forcefully. Strategic, she told herself. Intelligence value. Possible prisoner exchange. But when she visited that evening, ostensibly to interrogate him, her questions had nothing to do with military operations. They talked, really talked, about Earth, about Kael'thari culture, about the absurdity of fighting a war neither side wanted. The visits became nightly. She justified them as psychological warfare. He answered honestly, asked questions about her people, treated her with respectful curiosity rather than fear. He told her about human diversity, about families torn apart by a conflict no one fully understood. She shared the pressure of queenship, the loneliness of deciding billions of lives, the weight of inherited wars. "You have kind eyes," Ethan observed one night. Strange thing to say to my captor, but it's true. You don't want to be doing this. Zara'neth didn't respond, but the words haunted her. Each conversation made execution harder, made seeing him as just an enemy impossible, made the warmth in his expression when he spoke about home something she looked forward to rather than feared. This was dangerous, more dangerous than his combat skills, because the real threat wasn't his strength, it was the way he made her feel seen as a person rather than a queen. 3 weeks in, her advisors demanded resolution. Execute the prisoner or send him to proper detention. Some whispered about the queen's excessive interest in the human. Zara'neth knew she should end this. Should kill Ethan or ship him away and forget his honest eyes and steady voice. Instead, she offered him a choice: execution, formal prisoner status, or something unprecedented, asylum in Kael'thari space with restricted freedom. A political symbol, the human who defected, the closest to freedom she could offer. Ethan studied her. Why? Because when I ordered you to remove your helmet, I expected a monster. Instead, I saw a person, and I can't unsee that now. What do you get from this? She didn't have a good answer. What did she get? The satisfaction of making one enemy into something else. Hope that if she could see one human as a person, perhaps this war could end. Or something more selfish, the desire to keep talking to someone who looked at her like she mattered beyond her crown. I get to believe peace is possible, she said finally, even if it starts with one person. Ethan accepted. As guards escorted him to new quarters, actual quarters, not a cell, Zara'neth touched her forehead in a gesture reserved for honored guests. He mirrored it clumsily. The intent was clear. Later, alone in her throne room, she understood the truth. The most dangerous thing about Ethan Cole wasn't his combat ability. It was the way he'd looked at her when the helmet came off, seeing not a queen or enemy, but a person